So now let's learn about fiber crop. Fiber crop, why is it named as fiber crop? It is named as fiber crop because out of this plant, yes, so let's start learning about the second type of crop, and that is fiber crop. So fiber crops, under that we are going to take two examples. The first one is jute as well as cotton. So why it is called as fiber crop? Because we obtain fiber out of it. So that fiber can be used in manufacturing of garments or clothing or any other different materials. So that's the reason they are basically called as what? Fiber crop. Anyhow, this jute and cotton you have already learned in class 6. Okay. So you have learned about different types of fibers, and from where exactly they are being obtained from. Basically, when we are talking about plant fibers. Okay, so now in detail we learn what are the climatic conditions which is required for the growth of cotton as well as jute. Now when I talk about jute, it is basically called as golden fiber. Now here comes an activity for you. Why jute is considered as golden fiber? Why it is called as golden fiber? So this is an activity for you. You need to submit it to me. Okay. So, jute is considered to be as golden fiber. The answer is very easy. Okay, it is not at all difficult. You can just write it in 2 to 3 lines. That's it. Jute actually grows very well in alluvial soil, and this jute requires a lot amount of water content when it is growing. We have studied about rice or paddy, what is the climatic condition required for the growth of rice? In a similar way, the climatic conditions for jute is also the same. It requires very high temperature, it requires a lot of water. That means it can grow very well in areas where they experience a lot of rainfall, high rainfall, as well as it requires humid climate. And since it is also considered to be, it is grown very well in tropical areas. We have already discussed about tropical areas. You have already given me the activities. Okay, so it is very well grown in the tropical areas. I think now you have got a very good idea about it. And jute is basically grown in India as well as Bangladesh, and these are the two countries which is considered to be one of the producers of jute, highest producers of jute. Now if I wanted to talk about jute in detail, there is a question: from which part of the jute plant do we obtain this fiber? You have already learned about it. It's the stem. From the stem we obtain that fiber. But when jute starts to grow, as I said, it requires a lot of rainfall. The field has to be flooded with water. At the time of harvesting, what do? They cut the crop and then they tie them in bundles, and they put those fiber crop which is being harvested into the water itself. They place inside the water for more than 10 to 15 days. Okay, so now comes the question: why? Why do they immerse all the jute crop which is being harvested inside the water? Now, as you said me, as you all know that jute fiber is obtained from the stem of the plant. If you directly, after harvesting, if you directly keep the jute plant under the sun, okay, because it has to be dried, what happens? The stem contains some sticky substance. It is very difficult for the farmer to separate the fibers out of those stems. So what does he does? He will immerse those jute plant inside the water for some days. Then what happens? In water, there is a kind of a bacteria which will start eating those gummy substances. Okay, so it will completely take away all the gummy substances from the jute stem. And now it is the time for the farmer to take it out of water, and then he dries under the sun. And then what happens? Now it is easy for the farmer to separate those fibers. So this is how a farmer involves himself in obtaining this golden fiber. So I have already said you an activity. You need to tell me why this jute fiber is considered to be as golden fiber. I hope you have understood about jute plant and its climatic conditions. Okay. Now passing on to cotton. Cotton basically grows very well in black soil, as you all know. Apart from black soil, it also grows very well in alluvial soil as well. Talking about the climatic conditions, it requires very high temperature for its growth and a light rainfall is required. Not too high, not too low, but a small amount of rainfall is required. And very important thing is it requires 210 frost-free days. That means since this cotton basically it is grown in a season where it has a very high temperature and low rainfall, you can guess in which season it is basically grown. And then what happens, they say that when the cotton starts to grow, it do not want a lot of cold temperature. It requires a high temperature. So at least for around 210 days, it has to be what? It do not want that cold temperature for its growth. Okay, it requires high temperature. And then as I said, they grow very well in black soil. Now one thing you should remember, I said you cotton grows well in black soil. And that's the reason this black soil is also named as black cotton soil. But what is the drawback in this black soil is, before the rainfall itself, the farmer has to see that the land has been plowed. Okay. Otherwise, if there is rainfall before the farmer prepares his field to grow the cotton plant, what happens? The black soil will absorb more amount of water and it will be very difficult for the farmer to prepare the field for the cultivation. So a farmer has to take care to see that before the rainfall itself, he has to plow the field for the growth of cotton plant. Okay. So it grows very well in black soil, but one drawback is, suppose if it rains, it's difficult to manage the black soil, and that's the reason the farmer has to prepare the field for cultivation before there is any rainfall in that region. Okay. And you all know that cotton is basically considered as a raw material for an industry. And which industry is that? The major raw material is for cotton industry. Okay. So this is a major raw material for cotton industry. And apart from India, the places like USA, China, Pakistan as well as Brazil also will grow this cotton. So these are the two types of fiber crop which we discussed today. I hope you have understood the topics which we covered in today's session. I wanted you all to go through the video so that it will be easy for you to answer to the questions during online classes. So do the activity whichever I sent you. Okay, so meet you all in online class. So until then, take care. Bye-bye.